I'm Mr. Smooth, and it's another exciting class on the show we call the adult class, and now I'll be looking at the age-appropriate sexual education. I'll be talking about parents educating their children about sex for a number of weeks. The fact is, if you don't educate your children, others will do. And this is something that parents should understand, parents should learn so they can teach their children. And if parents are not the main educators of their children, if they're not the ones who are talking about sex and sexuality issues with them, young people will definitely get the message from the internet, from music videos, and from other sources. Sexuality education becomes important to parents. Sexuality education helps children separate facts from fiction if they are given that appropriate education. So you need to be a little comfortable when your children are asking you those questions, so you can be able to get them to understand and also get them to mature. This also helps them to naturally have that conversation about their bodies, whether good or bad, how they feel, and also be able to learn how to communicate well with you as the parent. So it is important that you take note of this. Definitely the children are going to know, whether you explain to them or not, they are going to know. And as they enter puberty, there are a lot of changes that they go through, and if you're not ready to talk to them, they are going to find ways to get to know. So children need age-appropriate information about their bodies, especially about their bodies, puberty, sex, and reproduction. This sort of education should be given to them age appropriately, so that you don't give them too much information when they are young, or when they are not too mature to get to understand certain things. So it's important we take this very seriously. This is not the only big talk, it's not like a one-time big talk, but you do it in bits and pieces. You give them information bits by bit as and when you think they need, and then also let them understand that puberty is about some dramatic physical changes and emotional changes that they themselves may not be ready to fight, but eventually they would have to go through. And then when they are only prepared as children, it comes to them by surprise. So you need to let them understand stage by stage as children what they are going to go through and what they should expect. Children should know about their body parts and their body functions. That is key. They should know how to care and respect their body parts and that of others. Even before they enter into puberty, they should understand those things and respect that these are my private areas, and these are the private areas of other people, and I don't have to get into those areas, and others also don't have to get into my area. And then you also have to choose the right age to answer certain questions. Looking for the perfect time, you have to choose the right age to answer those questions. Yes, I know it's a little difficult for parents to deal with their children when they become start feeling a little sexual, but by grade 3, they will have a very keen interest. By age 3, they will have a very keen interest in the formulation or formulating some kind of theories. The kids themselves will come up with some kind of theories about how this world is all about, how children come about and all that. So it is up to you, the father, up to you, the mother, up to you, the parent, up to you, the teacher, up to you, the guardian, to correct these things when the children have misconceptions. Many children will also also made up their mind between reproduction and sexual pleasure, and entering into school, getting into school, becoming curious about body parts, becoming curious about some some developing breast and deep voice and all those things. They become very curious about it, and it's important that you as a parent you observe. So talking about these themes, talking about these issues shows children that they can talk with trusted adults. It's important that you open it up to them so that they know that when they're experiencing these things, they can talk to some trusted adults about it. Family should lay the background for children to feel okay, just okay, to be able to talk about their body parts and their body functions and feel confident about asking questions, and also seek help. You shouldn't put that blockade, you shouldn't put that hindrance and stop them from talking. And then don't be horrified or alarmed if your child starts showing interest in sexual issues or starts displaying certain sexual behavior. These are completely normal and parents shouldn't fret about them. Also, you should use every teachable moment, every teachable opportunity to teach your toddlers, to teach your preschoolers and your teens about sex. Every teachable opportunity should be used in teaching them. If there's a pregnancy or a pregnant woman in the family, talk about how the babies develop inside the mother's body in the best ways that the child would understand. Talk about it. If you see a commercial of a feminine hygiene product, or you're using some displays of somebody sanitary pads and all this stuff, use the opportunity to introduce your girl that a time will come when so and so is going to happen, and then you will need this for that, and then use the TV ad or whatever that you have seen that relates to what you need to teach her, to let her understand that these are normal and every woman goes through it, and at a certain age, that is what growing up comes up with. Also, the role of the parent is to be the first educator, to encourage your child to take care of his or her body, develop that health sense and of self-respect, health sense and also self-respect. So she should be conscious of her body, he should be conscious of her body, he should respect the body, and also be health conscious about the body. Your thoughts, your approach to sex education should also help your child develop that time and healthy, to develop a lifetime and healthy sexuality life. So it goes very important that from age 0 to age 2, during bath time, you name the parts of the body. While washing your kid, you give names. By age 0 to age 2, during bath time, you need to give the body parts names, and it's important that you don't give them certain nicknames or funny names and stuff, because sometimes they get confused. So it's important to tell them, the girl, the boy, the difference between the private parts, and you can tell them. So toddlers from 13 months to 24 months start pointing out the difference between boys and girls and the names of the body parts, including the genitals, and let it feel normal to talk about your hand, and talk about your nose, talk about your mouth. So when you talk about the breast, talk about the penis, talk about the vagina, let it be normal so that it doesn't look like those parts are weird. They are just normal parts. And every parent should get involved in letting them understand that. Just as you can say your hand and say your breast, you can say your buttocks, you can say your penis, you can say your vagina, and that is normal body part, and there's no shame attached to using those things. So use a correct and appropriate names or appropriate slang not to create any funny look at those body parts. Those also allow them to become a little more, be able to communicate well with you. And then when there is an injury or there's an issue or there's sexual abuse or someone touches that part of them that they shouldn't touch, since they know the name and since they see it as normal as any other part, they can tell you that Mr. So touched here or Miss So touched here, and that becomes easy for you to track and trace what is going wrong in your child's life. And that is very key in helping your child grow up better. Also, the functions of the body parts, including the penis, the vagina, the uterus, the buttocks, the anus, the poops, just let them understand, let them know. It helps them to understand that the genitals are as normal and feel comfortable to talk about it anytime, anywhere with you. The toddlers should be told all these things about their private parts. No need to hide anything from them. It's important that parents get to understand these things and be able to teach them. If a child likes being naked, start introducing certain boundaries, because let a child understand nudity, that there are times and places where you can go naked and there are times and places where you cannot, so that your child will not go naked on the streets. You can let your child understand that when grandpa is around, you can go naked, but when they are strangers, other people who do not belong to our immediate close family, you can't go naked in front of them. It's not appropriate, let them understand. But they should also explore their whole body, allow them to explore, start pointing out simple differences between themselves and all the others. These are normal things. And then the end goal for you as a father or as a mother, the end goal is for your child to be comfortable with their whole body and see all parts of their body as being equal, without shame, without no shame at all. Be able to point out part of their bodies. So you would have to be ready to answer questions concerning gender truthfully and possibly age appropriately. Also, you have to teach them personal space, so that they don't confuse their personal space with other people's personal space. They need to understand their personal space, and it's very important that you teach them that. So preschoolers from 2 years to 5 years old, boys and girls are different, but they are the same from the vagina to the girls have vaginas and boys have a penis, but we all have the same nose, the same hands, the same thing. So we are virtually the same. Just boys have a penis, boys have a vagina and a breast. Basically, that's the basic difference. Nothing, and don't make it look so weird to talk about these things with your children. Depending on the level of understanding and their interest, you may decide to go a little more into details, and usually you can also tell a few stories to top up what you intend teaching them. So young kids are interested in pregnancies rather than babies, so rather focus on what pregnancy is and not the act of sex when you're teaching them about these things. And then also teach your kids about privacy, a little more appropriate for them to tell you about sexual abuse. And by this age, children should also learn to act before they touch somebody. They should be able to learn to ask before they touch somebody. They should be, for example, hug. They should beg. They should ask if they should hug. They should ask if they should tickle, and they should start learning about those boundaries that you set initially. Those boundaries then you start putting those boundaries into action, so that your children will not just go around hugging people and tickling people and touching people's private areas. Teach your child about privacy, around the body issues. They should understand, and explain to them and let them understand how appropriate it is to be naked and how appropriate it is being naked at a particular area and a particular space. They should know that it's okay to touch the penis, it's okay to touch the vagina, but there are times and place where you need to do that. It's not in open, and it's not something that should become a habit, and it's not appropriate to make it a habit to always be touching your private area. And that is something that you should take note of and teach your child that it's not right to be grabbing your genitals all the time or playing around your genitals all the time. Just as you don't play with your nose all the time, the same way you don't play with your genital all the time, so that they get to understand the limits for the genital play. Explain that touching your own genitals can feel good, that is a private thing, and this activity should not be a habit. And then you give the reasons why it should not be a habit. Some of the reasons being it affecting you, you becoming addicted to it, and it affecting your growth, affecting your education in the future, and all that. All these things need to be looked at while you talk to your child. So gently remind your child when you see that your child is handling his private area in a way that you think is inappropriate. Gently remind, but this regular screaming, yelling, and calling your child names would rather make your child hide and do those things. So you need to just let them understand that, hey, you can do it, it's your own body part, but this is not what you have to do. This and that is what you need to do. So just as you watch the other videos when I spoke about sexual transmutation, where you can be able to move the energy up into the head, and I also spoke about later on teaching how to run the sexual energy on the microscopic orbit. It's important that you parents also get to understand how it's done, and then also watch those videos and see how I moved the energy up, and also teach your child to be able to do so. If you find your child and their friends looking at their genitals, hey, let's calm down, just interrupt them in a very nice way, and later on tell them this is normal. They always compare, mine is growing bigger than yours and all that. It's normal, we've all gone through that. So don't become so alarmed and become afraid and start beating your child and all that. So let them know that they are the bosses of their own bodies, and they have the right to who to touch, how to touch, when to touch, including you, the parents. They can stop you from touching them. So that is okay to hug, that is okay to touch, it's okay to also touch others, but you need to respect your space and also respect the space of others. So sometimes parents will have to just calm down a little more and then have some of these things taking place well. That they can always tell you anything that makes them feel bad or funny. Yes, very, very important. And they shouldn't keep secrets away from you. They can't tell you anything that makes them feel funny. Okay, so from 5 to age 9, from 5 years to age 9, these are sort of things you should teach them. They should also know about what the role of sexuality is in a relationship. They should understand the difference between what a relationship is. And yes, we're going to do one series on types of relationships where parents will get to understand, to be able to teach these things to their children. Know what words to use when talking about their body parts, especially boys, girls, testicles, scrotum, and vulva, vagina. You should all know, they should know these things by age 5 to 9. They should know. They should also have some knowledge on the internal body system, the internal organs, and the uterus. So you can talk about the ovaries, the bladder, the uterus, the cervix, the vagina, the testicles, and the epididymis, the vas deferens, the seminal vesicles, and the prostate, and all this stuff. Yes, as they get into higher, as they age, you can just show them a chart and let them understand that these things are the same. Boys and girls are the same when it comes to those things, but it's just hormonal differences that makes them a little more different. Let them understand that, and then also let them understand that They come in different body shapes, they come in different sizes, they come in different colors, and boys and girls have body parts that may feel good or may bring touch, and this also varies from person to person. And to be able to also say stop when somebody is touching them when they don't want, it's important that they learn to say, hey, stop it, don't touch this part of my body, or don't touch that part of my body. Don't assume anything. You need to talk to them. Create your own open communication with them to be able to find out what your children already know. And also make sure that your children make you the only person they can talk to about embarrassing issues. It's very, very important that your children get the opportunity to be able to talk to you, you the mother or you the father, as the only person, and show them who they can talk to when you are not around. It's very, very important. Children should know about the basic social economic conventions of privacy, nudity, nudity, and also respect for other people's relationships. And then also should understand that when adults are having a certain chat, the young people would have to move away from them. It's one of these things that we get to learn while you're growing up. So find out what sexuality education your child is having in the schools. You should know, and then also help the teacher who is teaching your child get to know what your child should be taught. Next, we're heading into puberty. Most children begin to explore their bodies by that age, and they should understand why it is normal and sometimes should be done in private, especially touching the body and stuff. Children should also be taught the basics of puberty towards the end of that age span. So as a number of children will experience some puberty development or pubertal development from, let's say, age 6, age 10. Others experience it a little earlier, and sometimes not in a later part of their growing up. So teach how to use the computer and mobile devices safely. Very, very important, where you can safeguard your child from all the explosion and all the information on the internet. You should teach your child how to use the internet safely, and also let your child understand that it's not appropriate to just throw new pictures out there. The awareness of the rules of talking to strangers and sharing of photos online is also very important. Children should also know about the importance of hygiene and self-care, especially when you're heading towards puberty. Sex is a natural thing. Sex is normal. It's a healthy part of every normal life. And they should also understand that adults also kiss, adults hug, adults touch, and adults do other things to show care and love for each other. And sex is an adult activity and not for kids. And they should know that. We should set that line clear. And adults can choose whether or not to share their bodies or not. It should be made so clear. So don't wait for your child to ask questions. If by 10 your child is not asking you questions, then your child may be shy or may feel embarrassed by attempting to come up and share these things with you. It's probably may feel embarrassing to them, and it's time for you to find ways to reach them. It's time for you to find ways to get to them, so that they get the information from you rather than getting it from other people. So be honest, be truthful, and your child, if your child is just asking questions, ask. If your child asks, why do men and women have sex? Don't just answer, to make babies. Explain that people also have sex because they enjoy and feels good. And if they ask same-sex relationships, tell them what you think about about it and explain the issues and let them understand that in our part of the world we don't engage in that sort of activity. Men and women and women and women do not engage in such activities. There's this book on the internet, The Hormone Factory. The Hormone Factory. The Hormone Factory is actually a website. Hormone Factory. Hormone Factory is a website that is aimed at teaching age 10 to age 12-year-olds about sexuality and explains puberty, explains sexual intercourse, explains sexual issues in very clear and very lightened way. So to get clarifications on what I am talking about, just go to the internet and look for the Hormone Factory. The Hormone Factory will give you some information about that. And then also Think You Know website. There's a website called Think You Know. Think, THINK, and then UKNOW. Think You Know. Think You Know website has. They also have very interesting safety programs for parents to also be able to educate their children on these things that I am talking about. So if you want to get to know it, you can get to these sites, Think You Know and Hormone Factory, and then you can get some information for your children. So think about your own moral, ethical, religious and sexual standards so that you can better explain your points of view to your children. Stress that relationships are about respecting yourself and respecting the other person and having considerations for each other party's feelings. Also discuss sex in a wider context, including long-term relationships and family. So be honest. If you feel embarrassed, if you can't face your child talking about these things, then just get materials that can help your child get to know these things rather than you pushing yourself into it if you feel embarrassed. Also find some educators who can do this talk for you if you can do it yourself. But it's important if you become the first person to teach your child these things. Also, if your child has questions for you, try your best to answer them. Explain your own attitudes. Keep in mind that your child won't know about your moral values and your moral beliefs unless you yourself tell them. So beginning the conversation about sexuality early and continue that conversation as the child grows is the best way to strategically educate your child about sexuality. So also you avoid giving one big talk when the child reaches adolescence. When you can use every little bit, every little opportunity, every time now and then to put bits and pieces of that information across for your child to understand. It is important to explain things in a way that your child can understand you. So that's all that sexual behavior is private. Every sexual behavior is private. Some people look at pictures, naked pictures of people having sex and on the internet and watch all this stuff. All these are inappropriate. Let your child understand that it's inappropriate to. You also need to show what to do when they come across these things. They have to tell you, and then also they would have to let you know where to find those informations, and then let them also understand that you do not have any questions about this lesbians and gay stuff. You don't want to talk about it simply because it's not inappropriate, it's not accepted, and rational rationally, we in our part of our world is always going to be a man and a woman, not a woman, or a man and a man. Let them understand that. Explain the difference between sexual orientation, heterosexual sex, homosexual sex, and bisexual. Let them understand that insist that homosexuality and bisexuality is not acceptable per our culture and our religious beliefs. Love is not a feeling, and people can't experience different types of love and express love in different ways. Let them understand that dating is not a romantic relationship, but just a member of the opposite sex asking somebody out. Dating starts as a teen. You can start dating, getting to know me. Maybe you can have many friends, or just a few dates. You can also have different types of friends. Friends can also be angry at each other, and all these things can be angry at each other and still be friends. So friends spend time together, friends get to know each other well, friends can hurt each other, friends can hurt each other's feelings. Let your child know that. So when a child hurts you or your friend hurts you, shouldn't be anything that is so strange. And then friends depend on friendship depends on honesty. And if you want to be in your friends should be very honest people. And then friends can be older than you, or you can be older than your friends. Your friends can be males, your friends can be females. You can come from different families, and you can be friends. So families can change over time. Every member has different things unique to contribute, and everybody has a role to play. Family members take care of each other and care for each other. Members of the family can live in different parts and different spaces and different rooms and different families. We are all together, but we can be just separate even though we are one family. All decisions have consequences. To think about your decisions you're making, to make it always ensure that you make positive decisions. And then you have to practice and teach your children to practice assertiveness, and then practice negotiation skills to resolve problems and conflicts. That when there are problems, when there's conflict, when you offend somebody, you teach your child how to say sorry and all those things. You need to teach them early, and don't waste the opportunity to become the main source of information for your children. So puberty is the period of age at which the person is first capable of sexual reproduction of children. Make sure they know what they expect. Show them tampons, show them sanitary pads. Let them have a feel of it. Be equipped about what they are going to face, especially when they are women. Let them get to know. Boys need to know that they're going to have some unwanted erections, especially early mornings. They're going to have these erections in the mornings, and then they're going to have wet dreams. Let them understand that wet dreams are not spiritual. It's not like because you're having wet dreams you won't have sex. It's just a way of the body getting rid of old sperm and allowing the body to produce new sperm. Inform them about the male and female puberty or pubertal changes, whatever changes they're going to go through. Let them understand. Let boys begin puberty at different ages from women, from girls. Let them understand that from between age 9 and age 16, most boys are fully developed, where they have this deep voice and all those reproduction age. Let them understand, like trees go through, like dogs go through, like puppies go through, human beings also will go through all these changes. How a baby is made, man gives a sperm and a woman gives an egg, and a body is developed inside the body. The woman grows inside for a number of weeks and the baby comes out. It's all, these things need to be explained to your child. They have to understand these things to be able to mature. So don't feel shy, don't stop at it. Just let them understand. So preteens between 9 and age 12, the physical, social, and emotional changes to expect with puberty should also be introduced to the girl. The girl needs to know, be prepared for the first periods, and the boy need to also know and be ready for the first ejaculations and the first wet dream start. Once puberty starts, they start to think about sex and start conversing. They start conversations about sex and let them know about abstinence, and then let them also know that there's nothing like safer sex, because even condoms can break inside, and there are many times when women have condoms torn inside their private parts. So preteens should be taught about safety sex or safer sex and contraceptives, and should have the basic information about pregnancies and sexually transmitted infections, and should know that teenagers should not become sexually active, because it affects their brain development and affects their body development. Preteens should also understand that what makes positive relationships and what makes bad ones. They should understand that, and know the negative impact of becoming sexually active with abstinence as the best option. So preteens should also have the increased knowledge of internet safety, including harassment and texting, sexual messages. So they should also know that they should know the risk of sharing nude pictures and sexually explicit photos among themselves. They should understand that these things are not done. And then from age 13 to age 18 years old, students should receive more detailed information about menstruations, about the effects of wet dreams and masturbations. They should know. They should also be aware about the possibility of them becoming pregnant in those around those ages, and how they can avoid it. And the best way is not to use contraceptive pills, but rather to abstain. Sexually transmitted infections is also to abstain. It's very, very important. So the basic information about sexually transmitted infections would also be explained. I'm going to have an extensive talk on sexually transmitted infections on adults class, probably on in my next lesson. I'm going to do an extensive lesson on sexually transmitted infections, so at least parents can get to know, to be able to teach their children as well. So basic information about how to avoid pregnancies, with abstinence being the main reason, should be there, should be taught. You should teach your child that. The awareness of parents sexually involved in the beliefs, the love, dating, contraceptions, and all contraceptive pills and all those things, the effects they have. Parents should teach their children all these things. So once puberty starts, they will slowly start to feel normal sexuality and develop romantic feelings towards each other and their peers. But this is very normal. Same-sex fantasies and attractions are also, it's very, very unusual. And pornography is acting. It is not real. It's done just like movies, and children shouldn't worry their heads about it. The information that you have given your children is important, and the real matter here is talking to them for them to be able to abstain while they grow. So from growing up, from puberty, during puberty and adulthood, father, mother, changes will take. Boys will change during puberty. Things are going to change, and you need to allow your child to understand that they are going to change while the age. A significant increase in height. There will be a change in their weight. they're going to grow about 14 inches taller, about 40 pounds, a little heavier, and then from between age 9 and age 19, their neck is going to become thicker, their shoulders will become broader, their lips become wider and thickened, their facial bone become a little stronger, their jaws will become a little more well defined, and then they will start looking like a man. They start growing hair on their face, their voices will become deeper. Let them understand all these things that all are normal and it's a part of the growing up. Their body hair will also start appearing. Some will start having hair in the armpits, hair on the legs, and they'll begin to get pubic hair around the penis, around the scrotum, around the chest, around the face, and all these things will become a little more prominent, and they'll be getting towards the end of their puberty, and you should teach them to start learning how to shave once in a while, and also be able to feel free, especially shaving when you're getting to school. And then also they should also see that there will be an increase in pimples on their face. They're going to sweat a little more, around their armpits. They're going to start experiencing some body odors, and then they will need to take care of their body hygiene. These are all signs of puberty that your young boy should understand, and these things you should let them understand as early as possible, so it doesn't become a problem for them while they grow. And then let them also understand that they would have erections, and these erections will lead to semen coming out of their penis. Sometimes they may ejaculate, sometimes they may get wet dreams, and it's all a sign of a high level of testosterone. It's just hormonal problem. The hormone is increase in the male hormone testosterone. And then also they should also understand that once the body has more than it needs, more than enough sperm reserved, they're going to have some wet dreams, and it's not spiritual marriage. They should be worried. It's not a sign that they should start engaging in anything sexual. It's just a sign that they are maturing. It's a sign that they can become a father. It's a sign that they can make a woman pregnant as well. So if they don't want to have babies, the best way is to abstain. And abstinence is key. So your child should understand that heading towards puberty, you become more fertile, and then also women also become fertile. They release an egg. A man's sperm meeting a woman's fertile egg can result in they becoming pregnant. So we're going to go through this. Finally, you should also start enjoying yourself, becoming more masculine. The young boy becomes a little more macho, and he's happy about the muscles that he has and what have you. These are all signs that your young boy is growing, and your young boy should understand the changes that he is going through as well. Around this age also, they also start feeling a little independent, trying to move away from mom and dad, becoming a little attached to some friends, and then also they also start organizing some organizational habits. And all you need to do is to help your child be able to improve on organizing him or herself to become a little more independent, so they don't necessarily have to be depending on you all the time. Very key. Now when it gets to the women, they should understand that whilst they grow up, they are going to change. Their breast is going to start developing. They are going to start producing. They're going to have a little more hips, or growing a little larger around their waist area. And those changes will continue from when they start puberty all the way till they are 18, 19, sometimes 21 years, when they are completely developed. They should understand that all these things. So growing up, fat will be stored around their waist. You should know around their hips. They'll start growing butts, and they'll start menstruating, and their menstrual cycle will start becoming regular. They'll grow hair around their body, pubic area, around their armpits, and then also they'll start experiencing some sudden mood swings and changes, and there will be an increase in their libido. and all these things should be understood as normal. Before puberty, the body line is different. When they start puberty, it becomes different, and during and after puberty too, the whole entire body becomes different. And then around that time, they look completely like a woman, rather than they used to look like a girl. So when pubic hair starts appearing on the vagina, they should understand. And when everything around them, the changes during puberty, parents should be able to let them understand. Their skin changes, their face changes, they start experiencing oil on their faces, where they start experiencing pimples, and then they start having some sweat glands. Body odor also starts for women as well, so they should also start taking care of their body hygiene, so they can be able to maintain themselves well, so they don't have this body odor while they age. They should understand that the breast will also change, body will change. Every stage comes with it. Between age 12 and age 9, the breast will change and change and change till it completely develops, where periods become regular. Like I said, they start ovulating every month. And very, very important note that their interest in boys also becomes very, very heightened around that age. So concerned parents should have independent talks with their children. This is what we are teaching you, to be able to teach your children how to have such independent talk with your children, to be able to understand these changes that goes through, or these changes that they should go through. And then this is around the time that they should learn that abstinence is the only way to prevent them from getting unwanted pregnancies and also getting sexually transmitted infections. And most people who didn't get the opportunity to get parents to teach them this do not know. So this class is to help adults, to help parents be able to educate their children age appropriately what information they should pass to them. So on this note, we'll end this class, and then I'll say that keep learning, keep watching, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bakomi Mr. Smooth. And if you like this video, just click on the like button, and join me on ATV's adult class every Wednesday from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. And we'll be looking at the ABC of sexually transmitted infections in our next study. Thank you, and be good.